I guess I'm somewhat taken aback because just a couple of weeks ago, you pleaded that you didn't know anything about this. When we met in the basement of the cafeteria, did I misunderstand? That you were not, that DHS was not involved in these talks, that they had evolved from some other place. Was I mistaken in that concept?
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been involved in this from the beginning?
We have been involved, I've been involved in this from the beginning, yes, ma'am. And that is what I conveyed that morning at breakfast. If I somehow said something that made you think I was not involved from the beginning, I truly apologize.
Well, you certainly did. I was under the impression that this was being driven by private providers. When I talked with Kelly about it, Kelly said he didn't know anything about it, or am I suffering from some form of forgetfulness?
You may be talking about a meeting, an individual meeting,
But I've been aware of this concept all along.
I brought this concept, this is what I thought I relayed to y'all that morning. I brought this concept to a group of providers and asked if they would be willing to fund a consultant to help us think through whether or not this concept would work. And that's what went on in a very aggressive period, with them understanding that if this was a viable concept, this concept would therefore be something that we would work with the entire provider and healthcare community to try to take to the next level of design, and that it would not belong to any one group.
One of the things that was concern in the meeting, and Representative Gray was there, Senator Irving, all of them were very much concerned about who was being left out of the conversation. So perhaps I need to direct my question to Mr. Lane. Mr. Lane, did I misunderstand? Or did you say you knew nothing about the meetings?
Nothing about the meetings, yes ma'am. We did not know when they're happening, did not know who's being, because we're not the ones inviting people to the table. It's the providers, that's why it's a provider-led organization.
So you didn't know anything about the meetings?
The meetings, no ma'am, we do not know, I didn't know anything about the
You
meetings.
may not, there was a meeting.
Going on, yes.
Yes,
we don't know.
there was this one meeting that y'all were asking about that we did not know had been called.
I wasn't asking
But
about
the other
particular
meetings,
meeting.
the other meetings, ma'am, I was at those, and a number of my people were at those. So I have not tried to hide our involvement with this from the beginning.
So my remark at the meeting about the lack of transparency was just for the heck of it, because everybody was at the table that needed to be at the table. And one of the major...
Not everyone was at the table that needed to be at the table. That is a different thing. This was early concept to see whether or not it was valid, ma'am. And it finally became clear that this could be a viable concept, at which point we said, now everyone who needs to be involved needs to get to the table. And in fact, one of the things that I did last week was to put out a note to the providers that have been involved and said, going forward, please ask all who have been involved, who else should be involved, please ask them to bring them to the table. If we hear of anyone else who wants to be involved, we're going to refer them over. And please bring them to the table. We don't want to design this without everyone at the table that needs to be at the table that is going to actually be implementing this. It won't work if we do it that way.
So I got one message from Kelly, who gave another message from you, that you knew about this all along. And so when I've listened to all of you had to say, and I'm not going to beat you to death, Mr. Chairman, I'll move on, but when I asked Kelly, I said, Kelly, what is this? I'm hearing about meetings that are taking place where some of the providers feel they've been excluded. Kelly called me and said, I don't know anything about it, and then sent me a text message saying, we'll have a meeting in the cafeteria. Now that was my understanding, and in that meeting I told you transparency was important. I said, Arkansas is just small enough for you to think you're doing something, and large enough for you to think you're doing something without anybody knowing, and large and small enough for everybody to know. So we have a failure to communicate here, because I was under the impression, and I don't think my impression was wrong, perhaps the facts were wrong, but the impression I got clearly was that DHS was not a part of these discussions. Now I'm hearing you are a part of it. We're talking about bringing in somebody. This man was there. which made me think that that couldn't be true because he wouldn't be here if he hadn't been a part of it. The gentleman to your right.
Senator.
That's it for me, Mr. Chair. I'm just frustrated with the whole process. I'm sitting here thinking that providers have been excluded from the conversation. I was led to believe that DHS was not a part of these conversations, and now we're moving ahead full-blown with something. Thank you.
I've got a couple more questions. So if it's going to be about, since I'd like to hear what this thing is, so I've got two more questions, two more people on here. I'm happy to go to questions, but if it's going to be more, let's let everybody know what we're talking about, and then we can go back to who heard it first. But that way, at least everyone in the room will know what it is we're talking about. So the other questions, if that's what they are, can we pass on? If that's not what they are, let's go to the questions. Senator Cooper, you're recognized for a question.